All right, hello everyone. How's everybody doing?
So good.
So good. Oh my gosh, it's so dry. How's everyone doing?
So good.
Yes. Okay, we're at the SE for Ed State Caucus. I need some excitement. So we had some issues with the screen, so our setup here looks a little ghetto. I apologize. But you should be able to read it. I mean, hopefully. But this is so you want to be an area rep. So hopefully, if you're in here, either you're already an area rep or you are aspiring to become an area rep. So to get started, I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'll let Lisa Ellis introduce herself, although I'm sure you know who she is. Then there are some area reps in here. I'll let them introduce themselves, and then those of you who I do not know yet, I plan to get to know you, so you'll introduce yourselves as well. So I'm Sonny Perry. I'm one of the SE for Ed board members. Currently, one of my responsibilities is kind of helping the area reps. I don't like to say oversee because I don't feel like I'm responsible for anyone, but I help guide them in their journey to leading their areas and advocating for education in their respective counties and or school districts. So that's sort of what I do on top of the countless other things that SE for Ed does. And so if you have any questions throughout this process, just know that I'm someone that you can contact. Anyone on the board really can answer your questions, but feel free to contact me.
Lisa Ellis, the founder and board member of SC for Ed. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Would some of our area reps like to introduce themselves? I'll start.
Sure. I am Kendra Pennington. I am an area rep in Horry County.
I'm Katie Harris. I am a rep for the York areas. All four. York area.
Christy Schrader. I'm the rep for the parent and friend group.
Jennifer Stokes for Darlington County.
Cat Lowe, Berkeley County.
All right, so then I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
We're the wannabes. Who's that wannabe we want to be?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Liz Fragno from Georgetown County.
Karen Potts from Georgetown County.
And our community representative.
I'm her sister, but I'm also a supporter.
Yeah. You know, Georgetown just had this phenomenal outpouring. Our little elementary school, we had 30-some people. I think we beat. And then we lost that momentum. And I have to be very careful because I'm one of those awful Democrats that don't exist in Georgetown. So I'm very political, so I don't want to alienate because I don't want them to think. So Karen is going to help moderate. I believe you can be passionate and still have many topics. So we want to go back and we want to get those people that came out and we want to give them, because people are scared. And this morning when we heard Robin, I thought that's what we kept hearing. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not political. Yeah. And then Liz, get away from me because you are. And we want you to help us bridge that and overcome the fear and go, you vote, just vote. It's up to you. We have to work on our profession. I'm a special ed person, and everyone has touched my heart today. I think I've cried so many times because it's like you come with everything and you're listening, and someone says your heart, and you're like, oh my gosh. So today has been phenomenal. Yeah. I feel so empowered. Now I want you all to give us the wherewithal to go and empower the rest of our colleagues.
Right.
Yeah, because on that day, just from our district, it was over 100 people.
Right.
And we were kind of alienated because we were told, oh, we have plenty of subs, but then district level people were coming in because I had a sub in my class who was a district level person. And people like text me, I was like, okay, I'm okay. I'm not leaving Columbia to come back to Andrews. I'm sorry.
Our school got in trouble because we had some. I'm not in
Yeah.
trouble politically.
Yeah.
The district people came there and made statements like, "Well, we're covering for the amount of teachers that left."
I'm like, I'm not leaving.
Oh, you guys are going to love this session. I'm excited. You're in the right place because they get paid way more than we do. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, we begged them to walk into our class.
Right.
My class. Okay,
I was like, you can come back when I'm here. I don't mind. Yeah, that hasn't happened.
So sorry, didn't mean to laugh, but that's why we're here.
Nice.
So excited.
Well, we're happy to have you. All right, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Dr. Megan Connolly. I'm from Collin County. Jessie, who was previously our rep, she's going to be having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, the board has asked me to come because I'm one of the only people that has maintained that May 1st enthusiasm all throughout the summer, and so that's why I'm here.
Nice. Thank you. Happy to have you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Leanna Rossi Potter.
She's awesome.
Charleston.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I've already heard some things that I'm like, oh, I didn't put that in the presentation, but I do want to talk about it. This table got to go.
That's your barrier.
That's, oh, is that my, sorry, people that are on the video don't.
Remember my tripod.
It's okay. All right, so the one thing I want to talk about before we get started is SC for Ed in the political arena. So one thing that we hear often is, I don't want to get involved with SC for Ed because they're very political. You're not supposed to be bringing politics into the school, this, that, and the other. I think all of us have our own political beliefs, but in this role, SC for Ed is a nonprofit organization, and we really believe in staying bipartisan, if that makes sense. So I don't, since we started this, I've not shared my political background or what I believe or anything like that. I'm for education, right? And that's really just what I push. That's what the board pushes. So what I would encourage all of you, if you're interested in being an area rep, or if you are an area rep, you already know this because we have these conversations all the time, but really just push education, right? Don't push Democrat, Republican, Green, Tea, whatever. We push education. We invite everyone. If they don't come, we announce that. If they do come, we ask the tough questions in regards to education. We don't discriminate against anyone. We let the facts do the talking, right? And so that's the biggest thing. When people say, oh, you guys are a political thing, we're not a political organization. We're an education activist organization, and unfortunately, education in this state is controlled by politics. So we have no choice but to get involved. And so that's something that I would write down. That is one of the highlights of this organization. We have to work through politics to get the change we're seeking. And the change isn't necessarily for us, it's for our students, and it's for us, and it's for the future of this state. So keep that in the forefront.
And what, just to talk about that political piece, it's only political every 2 years.
Right.
The rest of the time, it's advocacy.
Right.
And I have sort of shifted my, yes, we do it for the students, but had a really great conversation with a colleague at Hootie and the Blowfish. I was talking with the RC Pep guy, and he made the comment that we're going to get our students regardless. But if we are not taking care of our teachers, like the teachers are the ones that buy into the school. The teachers are the ones that buy into the culture. Our students are really just sort of an assembly line of coming in and coming out. And so if we don't start focusing on teachers, then we're never going to be able to help students, and you're going to lose whatever you have. I use the saying that my dad always said, and I found it to give them for Christmas one year, and it was, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, and then if daddy ain't happy, who cares, sort of thing. And I think about teachers as if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And if we take care of teachers and we focus on teachers, then the happy teachers make happy, well-educated students. Now they're going to say you're selfish, but again, that is a political ploy to keep our voices down. So,
and I would like to say to that, being an area rep, you are going to need to have thick skin. You're going to be attacked from every angle possible. They're going to question your integrity. They're going to question your teaching. They're going to question your love for the students. They're going to question your love for the profession. They're going to do it all. And to that, every time I just go, you can come in my room, talk to my students, and then you can talk some more. But until then, I don't want to hear it, right? So I'm very to the point, very cutthroat. Those of you that know me know I listen. I don't play those kinds of games. So just keep that in mind as you go down this journey. It is going to be tough, okay? So what exactly is an area rep? The first thing that I have up here is that our area reps are SC for Ed superheroes. We call them gladiators in red. We have a love for Scandal. If you've never watched Scandal, it's a fantastic show. But we are gladiators in red. We do this, again, for public education because it's not, again, about who's in the office. It's about what the people in the office are doing. And right now, they're not doing anything, and that's a problem. So they pretty much, our area reps help the board with, everything really. Whenever we need help, they're the first ones we go to. So they are our superheroes, excuse me. They're individuals who are determined. We ask a lot because there's so many things, there's so many parts of education, and the more you're in this, you'll start learning, the government is responsible for this, the district is responsible for this, the state's responsible for this, and there's just so many moving parts, and there's so many things to go after all the time that it's just impossible for us to do this just as a board. It's not about the 6 of us. We say that all the time. We need our area reps. We need our school reps. And so they're very determined. They're driven. Our goal is, or our expectation is when we go, hey, area reps, can y'all tackle this? That the area reps are like, let's do it. And that's what they do. They tackle those situations. They help us come up with solutions. And then they push it to us. We push it out. And so they really are a hardworking group. They represent their school districts and or their local areas. So our goal is to get one area rep for every school district, or at least every county. Right now, that's not really the case. We have some mixed pods where the Midlands, for example, we have different areas that are represented in one large group. So our goal is to kind of spread that out and get more area reps. Of course, we'll restructure the way things look at that point because I can't do all 46, right? So, but that's sort of our goal, and we're building. We've grown. I feel like from when we started a little over a year ago, the amount of areas that we had then compared to now, it's grown tremendously, and we're continuing to grow. So that's what they represent. They also are here to implement positive change in education through their local area. So they're going to kind of go after the issues that they see in their local area, and with the group of teachers or educators in that area, they're going to work to improve those situations, as well as help on the state level as well. Okay? So what are the responsibilities? This is always the big question. So what exactly do area reps do? Okay, so I want area reps to kind of chime in here because I feel like y'all do way more than just this. But the first, this is really hard to see. See, this is so ghetto. All right, so the first thing is they host monthly meetings in their area. So whenever we establish a new area, we do what we call a caucus in that area, Palmetto Caucus. And we go as a board to that caucus, and we kind of initiate the first meeting. We talk about issues that the area sees, in their schools, and then we kind of narrow it down to the top 3. And for the most part, the top 3 are the same everywhere. Has something to do with how we're treated, something to do with salary, something to do with discipline, somewhere around there. Okay. They find, inspire, and motivate school level representatives. So again, this is not something that we can do by ourselves. And so what we ask our area reps to do is to find school level reps in their area and kind of create a group meet with them. That way you have people in your local area that you can connect to and say, hey, share this with teachers at your school. Hey, we need help doing this. And so that's sort of an expectation as well. Meet with local officials. So we're always talking about going to the State House and contacting legislators, your senators, your House members. The ones that are elected from your area, we expect for you to be meeting with. Like, meet with them at their home office, talk to them about issues that we're seeing in education, talk to them about those local issues again, and tell them what your solutions are. If you just go and say, we really don't like this, and that's it, that's not really beneficial. But if you go, hey, we don't like this, and here's what we think can improve it, that's starting that conversation. We have now given them some ammo to fix these things, and now we can start holding them accountable. And so whenever you have issues that arise, our goal is let's find solutions and let's present them, okay? In addition to that, your school board officials are important. I would like star that, okay? Our school boards are responsible for a lot more than educators realize, but we're not holding them accountable either. We elect them, and then we expect them to go host these school board meetings that nobody shows up to except for them and the people they invite. And then we're like, yeah, they're doing a great job, but we really don't know what they're doing. So we want to go and be a part of that. These are our schools that we work in. So we want to make sure that we're holding them accountable. They also lead local advocacy efforts. So I think about Robin, Bruce Broman, and Florence. They had an issue with the 1% raise. Their 1% raise never actually made it to teachers. And Robin got the Florence and PD area teachers together, and they actually did get that 1% raise. They raised Kane, and that 1% salary increase a year ago actually was afforded to those teachers. So that local level change is what we hope our area reps are attaining. Of course, you help with the statewide things, but what good are you doing if the area that you're in is just constantly suffering and nothing's happening? That's your area, right? host town halls with local elected officials. So again, Lisa said that it really becomes political every 2 years. We're moving into that political time. Elections are coming up. And so right now we need to start hosting those town halls with people that want to be elected, and we need to ask those tough questions, and we need them to be recorded. We need them to be on record so that we can share that with educators. We need to make sure we're voting for people that are going to do what's best for students, for teachers, for administrators, for our schools, period. And if we're not hosting those town halls, can we really keep them accountable? Do we know who to vote for if we're not having those conversations? Again, we would encourage our area reps to invite anyone that's running if they don't show up. Me personally, now I'm a little bit more on the rough side than others, but say they were invited and they didn't show up. You choose to vote for a blank slate if you want to. I wouldn't, but that's what I would do. We're at that time. We don't have time to play with these people. They can either do the job they want to get hired to do or not. And then again, lastly, assist the SE for Ed board with statewide efforts. So when we did the May 1st day of reflection, we did ask our area reps. We did ask our area reps to come and help us with that. Again, today, the state caucus, our area reps are here helping. The Money Matters Lobby Day, we asked for teachers to come help. So they do help with the statewide efforts as well, the larger statewide efforts. And so it is a big job. And we do want our area reps to know that ahead of time, because just like us, this is an unpaid job. We don't have any money to pay you. There are people that think we have the dark money. We have all these corporations from Europe and Lord knows where that are feeding us all this money. We really don't. So we do not have money to pay you anything. So this is voluntary. We're doing this because we want to see a positive change in our area.
And like that, I look at that list and I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot. That's a lot. It is a lot. This is a legit and up a hill battle. Mm-hmm. And it is exhausting and it is frustrating because as I think about, what you said about being so empowered, and absolutely, but you're going to go back to a school where teachers they're not going to be on board, and they're not for whatever reason. And it's the most frustrating thing to me. I just got into a discussion with one of my dear friends this week about, like, I can't do this for you. Like, at some point, other people are going to have to step up, and you have to be prepared for them to not.
Right.
And that is the most frustrating, demoralizing thing that exists.
And I would also say to that end, and I will say one of the benefits of being an area rep, it is a lot of work and it's very stressful, but I feel like you will grow so much as a person and as an educator. When we first started this, some of the comments we received on Facebook, some of the things that people would say, the lack of participation in comparison to the amount of complaining really frustrated me. But learning how to communicate with those people and learning how to speak to them, right? Like, it's like differentiating with adults, right? It really helped me grow as a person, right? Again, I'm in school to be, an administrator, so doing this has really helped me visualize, like, you have to attack different people different ways. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so while this is frustrating, like, understand that you have to learn to keep your cool. Yeah. Don't take it personal. That's very hard to do in this position, but don't take it personal, and figure out ways to motivate them. It's just like working with the students. Like, you have to motivate them at their level, meet them where they are. So keep that in mind.
And I was just going to say, the beauty of this is that you have a group of people, and we use the group me to sort of stay in touch and all of that. That is so, like, these people get it. I mean, and Kenzie's been with us since, for the most part, the beginning. Christy as well, and it's been a lot. I mean, it has, but, like, legit, it's the most supportive environment you can be a part of. And so, in the group me and the other ways of contact, group me is mainly the one, but it is, like, it can be very cathartic as well.
Yeah. It makes you feel less crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
like, I'm not crazy.
and So that's one of the, all of the frustrating and that's gonna be this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the whole thing, but there is a very great network of people who you can turn to and say, hey, this didn't work out for me. What are some ways that you're reaching out to teachers? I think about Greenwood, who did the sipping postcard, what we should call it.
I remember.
And nobody showed up. And it was so great. Like, why wouldn't you want to sit there and drink wine and write posts? It was just genius. And we could feel her frustration, rightfully so. But so she turned to the group and got super great not feedback, but support.
Sure.
And you just keep going. So, that is a lot. I know that when we talk about elected officials and all of that, that can be sort of scary. But there are huge success stories in here about, I think about Jennifer and Darlington. They started meeting with their superintendent this summer, and it's been great. And, you just have to be willing to start that initial conversation. I mean, Richland too, we now, at the end of every board meeting, every single board member is like, and thank you, SC for Ed, because we're sitting there in our bed taking notes.
We can get people there.
And I mean, that's so powerful. It's so powerful, particularly if you're in a place where your board is not necessarily doing what you think that they should be doing.
Right.
May I ask a practical question?
Of course.
Time management wise.
Right.
As far as your leader, going to your legislators,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you all do some things through the summer. I know we're not gonna get off.
Right.
To go meet, they're not gonna let us.
No.
But the
Nobody
beauty,
steps in and
right.
do
But the
it.
beauty of it is now is that they're local, they're
Yeah.
hometown.
Right.
And so, but even phone calls. I think y'all, Terry Alexander is he y'all's person? No.
No, we would be doing Clyburn and.
No, who are your local people?
I
Okay.
No,
I had to look it up on our.
Yeah.
So,
I
but
I had to look it up on my birthday.
Yeah.
So, I've always started out with a postcard or an email.
Okay.
And just because,
Yeah,
it's whatever you're comfortable with, and then, it moved in. But at some point, if these people want to be reelected,
Right.
we've got area reps and we've got members who have they've got their personal cell phone number.
Okay.
And, it's just that it's not going in immediately and telling them all the ways that they are terrible at their job.
No.
And I mean,
it's just like your kids sort of thing.
Yeah, I know that I personally, for me, because I do a lot of other things for some reason, I just don't know how to stop working. It's just easier for me to text, so I text mine. But, and I will say the first time, Lisa was like, yeah, I'm talking to this person. I'm like, I don't want to talk to them. I just don't care to. But once I started talking to them, I realized that it's really not as scary as you think. It's really not as uncomfortable,
We
yeah.
actually have a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
When they say this is how you respond.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll say, with school boards, we in Richland too really started going to the school boards for probably about 3 months before we even started talking and participating. So you build that.
Right.
Well, we know, we already have a little game plan, because we know, I used to be the rep for Teachers Farm, so I've got people, we know some people who are sympathetic or empathetic or even suggested, when they were being elected recently, I went to form, and when these things were, a lot of things were brought up, they were like, it's all state, you better go vote, you better go represent. So after May, I even called again, so I did. And today I've learned the things I need to learn. Now I'm coming back to you because I realize this is actually. So let's now sit down, let's talk. We got clear.
Right.
I feel comfortable. My concern is I'm afraid, I do want to go talk to these people. I do want to meet with them. I'm very comfortable. I do have another arena meeting with them, and this will be another side, and that's fine. I'm bipolar. I can do this. But I'm with you, Liz and Elizabeth, and then we'll never know the two meet. But I'm just so worried that I want to make sure I get there. But you have known that likely when we go, they will, if I call them sir, I know your town hall is always at noon, because I found that in my other life, I could never get there because they
Mhm.
meet at noon.
Well, see, the difference is with our town halls is like when you schedule a town hall, you schedule the town hall, and you set it for your time, and it's their job to come. Yeah.
Issues.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you know,
And
Mhm.
Senator Rice is having his at, 12:30 at Friday. Well,
Right.
Thank you so much.
Another powerful weapon that we have is social media.
Mhm.
Yes.
And we have found that that's very effective in always respectfully,
Yes, ma'am.
but calling people out. And I mean, that was what
Yeah.
with the education bill dropping and then saying, well, we have hearings, and me saying, you have them at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And teachers
Right.
are always teaching.
Right.
And so Speaker Lucas was like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, well,
you know.
yes.
And
it
so,
can
but
be-
like
right.
that's where you, and like Sonny's saying, if you say we're having this, event, and you put the sign up and you show who's not, I mean, like that's
huge.
playing their game,
Yeah.
and you'll be amazed. And I think particularly after May 1st, you'll
Yes.
be,
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I know right now is the hot time because it is, we vote.
Yeah,
It's got
and
to be
it's
sure.
and it's getting close to elections.
We
Yep.
vote.
Mhm.
We do count.
Pete, I saw your hand, and then
Yeah, I was gonna say, we have, Randy Legan, our representative,
Yes.
call and set it up, and he's gonna meet with our SE for Ed group Tuesday, actually, after school. Same thing, you wanna do it earlier, and I had to remind you that. We're teachers.
they forget.
7 now.
They forget that we have kids.
Yeah.
And just so y'all know, Pete Stone is our Chester area rep. I know he walked in here after we did introductions, but he's another one. Yes, ma'am.
So can we partner with other organizations to like put the campaign and drive out? Like, we have a huge Zeta population in our school and in our county.
What's
And,
up?
Yeah.
That's my soul roars.
Can I connect with fraternities and
Yes,
other organizations
yes.
that are already doing movements and things?
Um,
They're doing a voter registration drive. Can we
Yeah.
partner with-
So I'm actually in the brother organization of Zeta Phi Beta. I'm a Sigma, and we do a voter registration thing every time. So with me partnering with SE for Ed, when we do our voter registration stuff, our table's going to have SE for Ed stuff on it too. So, yeah.
And we could ask to speak when the teacher forum has their, we could take
Mhm.
the representative of us representative can speak to the teacher's forum.
Yes. Now the only thing I will say with that is like, if you're, and this is sort of where we've kind of had some issues with areas, is kind of differentiating between when is it okay and when is it not.
Right.
If you're doing like a monthly meeting with your teachers, I would stay away from inviting people to that. Only because you're going to have teachers there that are coming to vent, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but you'll notice that before people are comfortable with advocating, they're going to want to talk, they're going to want to vent, they want to be heard. And if they're not comfortable with that being out in the public,
Yes.
but there are public people there who may go and spread it, that could cause an issue with them not wanting to return or telling others not to come. So you don't want to necessarily do that. But if it's like an open program like a town hall and you want to invite fraternities and sororities to come ask questions, or you want to invite, that's okay. Just remember that it's an SE for Ed first.
Education.
Yeah.
That sort of
Yeah.
thing.
That would be,
Yeah.
Yeah. So just remember it's an SE for Ed event first, so we don't want to talk about other political hot topics. We want to stick to bipartisan education issues.
And I'll also say that's a great idea, because our push this year, and we'll talk about this a little bit in the wrap-up session, is moving out towards outside of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we have learned in the last 17 months is there's going to be teachers that are never going to be willing to do whatever the simple thing that we're asking them to do. But parents will,
Right.
businesses will,
Right.
they're carrying the tax burden. And so like our focus now is sort of shifting to meeting with people that are outside of SC for Ed to build those relationships. And that, absolutely,
Mhm.
and doing that.
Mhm.
I said it in one session, but my parents attended a Democratic meeting down in Clarendon, and Mr. Briggs, who was from the original school, Brown versus School Board of Education, spoke, and in the 2016 election, 20,000 teachers in South Carolina did not vote. And so, and that, and so like, that's why I say we can't depend on teachers, as frustrating as that is, to, we need to keep pushing it, but we've also got to get outside of this.
my question would be, are those 20,000 registered, those Teach for America, are those alternative certificated people, or is that international teachers, like, is that all of, including
From
all
what
of
I,
that for statistically?
from what I
or-
can understand is it was 20,000 teachers who were registered to vote, meaning
Just
that they
didn't show
were.
up. Okay.
The register, they just didn't.
I will say, when I had spoke to some of the other organizations I belong to, after our experience and with them, asking for support with law, because they already are very involved in language, the amount of retired teachers that are part of and other things were like, what can we know? A lot of them from the north. Who are here and are absolutely
Thank God.
appalled by what they're doing. And I want to tell you, I'm going to build them, and we had our.
Yes.
Because they were like,
Yes.
what's the law, who's the person? And these
Well,
people already
and I
have
will-
all kinds of money and influence.
Yeah.
And they've been there, done that.
And I'll tell you that our teachers that are coming from Northern State, and there's a lot of them are coming here and retiring here.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to them, they're like, what the heck are y'all dealing with down here? I've never seen anything like this. Where's your union rep? Where's this? But they don't understand that this is not a union state.
Right, right.
And unfortunately, you know, if you go to a union state, teachers there have a union mentality. We don't have a union mentality down here. And so the tradition has just kind of been like, this is what people want us to do, so we just got to do it. But I think what's happened is we've been forced to do and do and do and do, but very little has been given to us. And now it's like, no, we're not doing this anymore. And I think having those Northern teachers or those union teachers come and kind of encourage us, like, no, keep pushing. I think that's why we're starting to see teachers like, yeah, no, we're done. We're done with
Right,
this.
because I'm there outraged, and like, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought it was upset, but yeah. They're not letting.
One of the things we're experiencing within our county was specifically a discipline issue, and it's related to our sheriff's department, because right now, in order to have a child who's committing an actual disciplinary issue would involve local law enforcement.
Yep.
We don't even have a DSS, like, we don't have a DJJ concept with our even county jail.
Right.
So like, if you're housing a child who's getting in that situation, they have to come to Columbia, right? So our county does not, like our sheriff's department does not have the money to pay to send those students. So what we're doing instead is just kind of like giving them a tap on the hand and sending them right back to school. So we're talking like major criminal issues that kids are just coming right back. Like things like other districts, it's just not even an option. Like they're not even doing drug searches and things right now because they're afraid of the public image that is going to happen within our district. Like, so there's things that are happening. So can we look at the sheriff's election that is happening?
Absolutely.
Is that something we could-
Absolutely. That's, again, so that's, when we talk about like these local issues, like we want you to lead local advocacy efforts, that's the local advocacy effort. If you are teaching, right, and it's hard for you all to teach your students because you got drugs going every which way in the building and somebody's, you know, dealing drugs right behind you or something, like, that's,
Last week we had edibles brought and distributed, and the reason why, like, we ended up finding out is because some of the kids had allergic reactions to them.
right.
And like, it was not even like a.
But see, that impedes your learning environment. And so now what's happening is there are students that are coming to school to obtain an education that aren't getting it because your sheriff's department and your disciplinary procedures are allowing students to interfere. And that's a local issue, so I would definitely go after that sheriff election. And as teachers, that's something y'all need to band together about. We cannot teach our students who are coming here every day to learn because we have all these distractions because no one's doing anything about it. That's a problem.
The district is trying to, but the sheriff's department is not.
Right.
Like, and people are not seeing the connection between the two, but like, I've talked to the sheriff's people. This is where the problem.
Yeah, y'all, I would say your area, one of your focuses probably needs to be banding together against that sheriff's department. Okay, so we're going to move. Good conversations, listen. Okay, come on now. All right, so how do I find time to do all the things? This is the biggest question that we get from our area reps. I think even the board is like, how do we do this all the time? I want you to highlight that this cannot be done alone. You as an area rep cannot do this by yourself. We highly discourage, so there have been a few areas that have tried to get started that I've been like, let's hold off. I personally am not comfortable chartering a new area with just one rep because it's a lot of work and all of us are full-time teachers, and I just personally don't think it's fair for someone to take on teaching and all of this at the same time. So I always say if you can find someone else to do it for you, we can move forward, and if not, let's hold off.
With you.
What I say? Oh, with you. There you go. If you can find someone to do this with you, no. If you can find someone to do this with you, then let's go ahead. If not, let's hold off until you can find someone. So one thing I would say is find another teacher, another educator who is just as passionate about education and advocating for education as you. Find one or two. I would always say you need at least 2 area reps. There are some groups that have like 3. We had up to 4 in the upstate at one point. But that way you can kind of share the workload. And then again, when you start getting those school level reps, you start passing down work to them too. Like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? That way it's not you doing everything yourself. You kind of have a team of people that's helping you. I would also talk about what you're dealing with other area reps. So if you're like experiencing a problem, you're like, I really don't know how to handle this. How did you handle this in Horry? Or how did you handle this, in Darlington? They can kind of give you those tips because they've been doing it a little longer. So what we've noticed is when one group starts to struggle, another group had already struggled with it, and they can kind of help each other out. So that's definitely one thing I would do. And then remember that it's little by little. We've been doing this for 17 months, and while we've done a lot, I feel like we really chunked it. And we did little by little. Change isn't going to come overnight, so we need to remember that. And then lean on your board members. We're here to help you however we can. Lisa will probably attest that we will travel wherever we need to. We've put more miles on our car and put more money in the gas than I think we'd ever thought we would. But that's what we do. That's why we're here. So remember that. And then get teachers involved. And this is the hard part, right? And so the best thing I can say is include people. When you make them feel valued and you make them feel like they have a purpose, they're more likely to continue coming. Again, if you're like, oh, I'll do this, then what's the point of them being there, right? We didn't get 10,000 people because the board said, we'll do this. We got 10,000 people because we were like, we need you. And so you need to continue to push that message. This is about all teachers in South Carolina. It's about all students in South Carolina. It's about all schools, and we need to push that message. Attend school board meetings. So again, wear your red. Go to those school board meetings in your red. You don't have to speak at the beginning if you just want to start being comfortable being there. Just go and sit and listen. Maybe make some faces. We've learned that sometimes just whispering with each other about what you don't agree with, it scares them. Like I'm telling you, they sit there and they start like texting each other, right? Because they know that we're watching. So like go there and be present, be active. And then set up a rotating schedule with teachers in your area. I can't go next Tuesday. Can we get 3 other people to go? The following, or whatever day your board meetings are, can we get 3 more people to go there? And it'll start to build after a while. It becomes fun because you're there with like other colleagues and y'all are all talking about what's not working right or what is working right.
That will take you to soccer.
Oh. Yeah. And then just remember again to include everyone. And what I will say too is that at your first few meetings, you want to include some vent session time. So our first few groups that started, they were like, I planned this whole agenda and it was so nice. And we never got to anything because all we did was talk about everything that's not working. Again, nobody is willing to just go in and like, let's take action until we actually talk about the problem. And we noticed that once people talked about it and they got it out, then they were like, okay, I feel better. Let's do something now. So include that.
Being like the 5 stages of grief, and the 5 stages of advocacy,
Yeah.
and the first stage is always just throwing up all of your frustrations and all of that and getting it all out, which is what we have noticed sort of when you're talking to elected officials and you see the teachers who haven't had that opportunity, and so they're doing it towards the elected official, and the elected official's face is like, I don't know what, somebody help, that sort of thing. And it's not so effective because, like, they don't necessarily, some of them want to know the problems, but really they want to know how to fix it.
Right.
And as teachers, we're natural problem solvers. I mean, you think about all the things that you fix in a day, and so it's important for these monthly meetings or these area meetings to happen so the teachers can get all of that out and then get to the point, okay, now I'm sort of ready to learn what I can now do to be better. But that's always the first stage, is the of everything that is terrible, and then...
And I would remember too, like the leadership skills that you're going to have to encompass as an area rep is after all the, this isn't working, that's not working, and I really don't like that this keeps happening, and blah, blah, blah. Like you really have to rein in the group and say, so how do we move forward? How do we fix this issue? How do we fix this one? And you really have to pinpoint the ones that are most common, right? Because if you try to fix all of them, you're not going to get anywhere. Pick one or two. How do we go after this? How do we go after that? And it may take a few months before you get that changed or get it fixed or figure out a way to go after it. And that's okay, but you want to make sure that people are included in that process, because then when you do win it over, it really does become, oh my gosh, we did this. I mean, I think, again, the PD, that's how they grew so fast. When we, like, real story, when we first went to Florence the first time, they had 3 people show up to their caucus. 3. And all of them were like, oh, we're just good Southern Christian women. We don't like to rock the boat. And we were just like, yeah, no, let's rock the boat. Like, let's just do it. And they were like, yeah, no, like, we don't. But then they started going after things, and when they started winning, they were like, wait a minute. Like, we can actually do this. And, I mean, now the PD is, I mean, they're doing things. So just remember that. Yes, sir.
One thing we're doing in Chester now, the safety training was so terrible, we're making us fake Columbine footage.
Yeah, I heard about that.
We create a teacher survey from all the teachers. Now we're going to take that, and at each school we're going to make our own safety plan made by teachers and present that to the school board and school district. So this is our plan of what we want to feel safe. Then instead of a problem, we're presenting a solution back to all the teachers in our district, and that puts them in the position of listening to us or having to tell us they don't want teacher input just outright. And we can hold them accountable because it's our ideas that we can keep saying, have you done this yet, and what about this? So it's something in writing that we collectively came up with.
So you run the survey first, like how did you
Yeah, that's
initiate
step
all
one, is just gathering all the information by school, anonymous survey. And then a rep for each school is going to help organize that. And then also bring in bus drivers, custodians, food service providers, and get all their input. And we're going to put together a customized plan and sit down with the resource officer and keep modifying it that way.
Yeah, and I think that is the cool part about being an area rep is you get the SE for Ed resources. So all area reps have like a Google account with us. Like we have a SE for Ed Gmail. Area reps have their own like SE for Ed Gmail. You have access to a lot of the resources that we have. And so when you're doing things like Chester's doing, you can use some of the resources we have. You can use some of our surveying materials so that it doesn't look like you as a teacher is doing this. You can use the SE for Ed brand to kind of help you enhance those things, which is great.
Name saying we're doing this through SE for Ed gets them to respect what you're doing.
Yep. All right, so how do I become an area rep? Well, for one, you came to this meeting, so that's good.
1 minute.
I'm already talking fast. You came to the meeting, so that's good. The biggest thing really is just reaching out to a board member, just saying, hey, I'm really interested in serving. I mean, we're not going to be like, yeah, no. As soon as you say it, we're going to be like, great, what do you want to do? So reach out to one of the board members. You can email sefored@gmail.com, and we'll go ahead and get you started. If you would like to start a chapter in your area as soon as this is over, come hit me and say, hey, let's do this, and I'll be like, great. We'll go ahead and start setting up your area caucus, so your initial one. And again, we'll come to that one and do it with you, kind of help you see like this is what you can do in a monthly meeting. In the past, we've had other area reps come to that caucus, and they've kind of shared ideas as well with the group so that other teachers that are there can see what other groups are doing. And we can also start going ahead and getting you into the area reps group me and kind of helping you get used to how we communicate with each other and get you set up in Gmail and all that good stuff. So if you're interested, please feel free to come talk to me. You can talk to Lisa. But yeah, we probably got like 10 seconds. So any quick questions?
Is this only for teachers? Or?
I'm sorry?